I don't know. He might have the same problem. At least I haven't seen him. Has anybody checked whether he was in Telegram messaging or because yeah.
Yeah, I sent him a message. Maybe I confused. Maybe he wasn't actually there because he usually says hello. He has the camera,
Mhm.
so wasn't him. All right, so let's just get going. Good thing that we managed to get this kind of working. So um, let's do it. Hold on. Okay. All right. So testing 1, 2, 3 again. You guys can hear me?
Working. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Um, I don't think you were here on Monday. Were you here, Peko? Or was it only Christian and Joel? Yeah, it was only Christian and Joel. You were not around. So
Yeah, yeah. We sent the message that we couldn't join on
yeah,
the Monday session because we had the Berlin event.
yeah. All right. So let's start from you, Peko. You're already kind of familiar with this because it's a little bit of a rehash of what I shared in Santa Cruz. But
Mhm.
let's make this more conversational since you're the audience is smaller and
Yeah.
more in the sense of like collaborative in like what about this, what about that, and this could be understood this other way and whatnot. So like doing mappings if not to different mental models. So um let's start with what is a space, right? So we said that a space has many different qualities or characteristics, and starting from the definition of space, right, that are applicable to this network centric uh, and therefore relationship centric but relationship change centric look of space. um, so we say that space is first and foremost a relationship, right? I don't think there's enough space. Okay, I need to make smaller things. So I'm going to make space like that. It's a relationship. So space represents a relationship, or it's the abstraction. Um, this representation of the circle is the space where two or more space agents um, are in relationship to each other. And to be in relationship means to be visible to each other, to be able to refer to each other. So it's a shared reference frame. This in technical lingo is called as address space or namespace. Things that are in the space can be referred to. Things that are not in the space cannot be referred to. And what this means is that within a space is another way of saying reference frame is a shared um, symbol space. Um, Most importantly, and it's implied in the reference frame. And I don't know if when explaining this other quality should be in that order, is a communication medium. So a very interesting thing about the representation and network utilizing space and this even a visual space language that is able to represent these things is that usually we think of networks in terms of graphs where we just see the link, right? In this lingo, we'll know that it's meaningful to represent the link as actually as a shared space. And most importantly, actually it makes more sense just to visualize it all together like that, right? Two agents speaking, and whether it's a wire or whether it's wireless or whether it's physical location that is shared, and space, actual real space is what it's being used as a communication medium. This representation is a good enough abstraction for what we're trying to express in terms of networks. And we're going to see that now it has the qualities, the three qualities that we often speak about, like communication medium, which leads a possibility to protocol. But the other part is a space is stateful. It has a present moment truth, right? That can be observed by the participants, right? So when we see relationship, we say another way to say it is has participants, where participants are the agents. So space is stateful, and therefore there's a current truth, so to speak, right? From which like the other agents interact. So the other way to say this also is that the space has a record, right? That's an important one. Now, we've said before that the space is always shared by at least two agents. But let's talk about, and this is something that's still in development. This idea that a space and an agent cannot exist alone. Basically, one defines each other. So space, it's reflective in the sense that it can be interacted with. And these interactions, obviously, that who interacts is referred to as the agent. And very particularly, Peko, in this particular model, interactions are understood to be expression. So every interaction is understood to be an expression and follow a grammar. So we are, even though we are utilizing a set of symbols that evoke ideas of more familiar interactions that are not necessarily verbally mediated. We really want to, in this particular model, describe everything as a expression exchange. Everything is an expression. Every expression is generated, the expression is evaluated, right, by the agents.
Can
I agree.
Ask a question real quick?
Sure.
It seems pretty simple to me to imagine a space that does not have two agents, that only has one. Like when you're starting it up and figuring things out, or if it's in some kind of intermediary state where members have left but they've yet to come back.
Yeah. So I didn't finish. I didn't finish what I was leading towards, James.
Okay.
So the case, and that's why I was qualifying the interaction and as an expression and whatnot. The case where we have one agent that can interact with the space. In this particular case, the space is also an agent, right? So, and this, if you guys ever even skimmed, just which I do recommend over the paper from Douglas Hoffman. I don't think it's Donald. I always forget his name, but Hoffman, like networks of conscious, the origin of time, networks of conscious agents. He defines reflectivity, right? And this happens, by the way, in like one gravity node, for instance, James, like the Berto machine. It's always a reflection between the programmer and the computer, but it's always this relationship. The if it's not because of this interaction, nothing can happen. So basically, one defines the other. Right? They exist in relation. But this is only true. This is only true for two agents. Because another quality of space when there's multiple agents, and that sort of like breaks away from the definition of the space, is that at the surface of an agent, there's the creation of time. That means there's all the expressions that are exchanged must necessarily be serial. Otherwise, there's not sense making, right? Uh, there has to be understood between two agents communicating. There's a history, right? Like if you look at your chat window in Mattermost or in chat or in Telegram, you'll see that the exchanges are ordered in time. So the order in itself is the time. But so when there's multiple agents, the definition in space actually as something different that just an agent emerges, and I guess this the concept of space, and that is that many things can happen, quote unquote, at the same time. This an important distinction to have in mind, and let's keep it in the background to see how this particular model distinguishes between a space and an agent. Because every agent, obviously, internally is a space for sure. But the agent again emerges at the surface between two spaces, so to speak, that are able to issue expressions and evaluate expressions. So really the definition here that we're utilizing, what we're calling an agent, is that which is able to interact, right? So from the perspective of an external agent, right, this whole thing, the system or whatever it is, even if it's a user, because in here, for instance, we're utilizing this particular visual grammar to describe, for instance, a computer human network, right? And so there might not be any cable, there might be just a keyboard and a screen. But what's important is that we're referring to agent A, agent B, right? Not as a spaces only insofar as we're focusing in the relationship. That means in the containing space. So what's a space? What's an agent? It's all perspective dependent. It is relative. And this is the key on things. Like actually everything in this particular model is every single term at the same time, right? Even expressions, even it's just like what it is depends on where you are looking from or of